guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a review on the 2019 Porsche Macan. It's just the base model. So we're going to talk about some of the key differences between this facelifted model and then also the first gen, such as Penelope and my 2015 Macan Turbo. And I'll be putting the link to that in the description below if you haven't seen that before. As usual though, we're going to be going through 5 different decision points to talk about this vehicle, which is price, performance, styling, user friendliness, and then finally safety features. We'll be getting this thing out onto the road, see how it drives. Well, first let's talk the numbers. So price. The starting price for the 2019 base Macan was $49,900. This thing has a few options to it, and then you always have taxes, but the price goes up to almost $66,000, which is an astonishing jump. It's almost $17,000 price increase compared to just the base price. So what about the performance numbers? So in this you get a 2.0 liter 4-cylinder turbo engine with 248 horsepower, 273 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 is kind of sad. I think it's somewhere in the likes of 6.7 seconds, but it is what it is. So as usual, my favorite part after talking about performance numbers is listening to an exhaust clip. So we'll go ahead and do that now, and then take a look at some of the key differences between this and then the first gen as far as styling. All right, so let's take a listen. So now that we've listened to this amazing exhaust sound, there's actually cracks and popples as you're driving, and it gives you a nice blurp or burble, if you will, while driving. We'll hear that here in a little bit when we do our driving portion. But anyways, yeah, so styling on this thing. So 2019 was updated, and most of it was up in the front. So as we come around here, got a new complete brand new fascia, and then I think it actually looks extremely aggressive now. This lip up here I think is what really does it in, and then also the spacing in between these and just the full LED setup. So as we move along the side, these are not your standard wheels, these are turbo wheels. Everything else is pretty much the same. One thing that I don't like is just this textured, and I think painted is the way to go. And then as we move around back, everything's pretty much the same except for this nice new light bar, which Porsche decided to go with in their entire lineup now. But yeah, other than that, it's all that we have for the outside. So let's move to the inside of this newly facelifted aggressive SUV. All right, welcome to the inside of the 2019 Porsche Macan. So in here you'll be greeted by some new things that you didn't see in the first gen or the semi-updated second gen. Setting up Bluetooth in here, so I'm going to switch you guys over to this and walk you guys through the steps. One of the main things to keep in mind is this new screen has proximity sensor, as you could see up in the top left corner as my finger got closer to it. So we're just on our car menu right now. We're gonna go over to media. We're gonna search for a device and then make sure the phone is ready to be paired. And it should pop up here in a second. There we go, that's me. All right, perfect. And it should connect relatively quickly after we confirm. And sorry about my swishy jacket, it's cold. So I'm just keeping it on. Sure can't wait to see what song pops up on here. Connection failed. Oh no, that was just my fault. All right, and any day now it should be connecting. Ooh, this isn't looking good. So it's connected as noted up here, but for some reason it's still circling around, so whatever. So when you go over to media now and you select your Bluetooth device, it should populate with your media menu. So one of the biggest things is like this new screen art. Everything's like super crisp, and there should be some album art that pops up over here, but it's not. All right, and yeah, that's pretty much the biggest change in here. So now you guys can get your tunes going. You can jam out, especially if you get the upgraded Bose stereo or the Burmeister that was also offered in this. Yeah, so now that we've got Bluetooth set up, we're gonna move into the back seat, see what kind of things that we have in there. All right, guys, so the back seat. So this is my driving position right here. Yeah, so you get some decent legroom. You can kind of sit back and relax. The one thing that Porsche's still not doing with this car is, well, reclining seats, which I find is a downfall. If you guys saw the review on the Chevy Blazer, it had roughly about the same amount of knee room, but it is a little bit taller as well. It doesn't have as much as a sloping roof line, so you do have a little extra headroom. So maybe that's the reason why Porsche's not doing that. But yeah, so back here, it's not bad at all. You got a couple cup holders in here, nicely wrapped in leather, and then the through pass if you need to put some longer items in here, but also maintain a 4-passenger capacity. So back here you can make your temperature hotter than what's set up front for the auto, or you can make it colder. And then you also have your heated seats with 3 settings. All right, and then these vents, I like where these vents are located compared to the first generation. And then also at the very bottom you have a couple USB charging ports down there as well. And then you have 1 and 2 pockets. And so having these 2 pockets, that's actually kind of a big thing. I've seen so many reviews on cars recently where you're only getting 1 pocket, whether it's behind the driver or behind the passenger, and then the other seat just doesn't get anything. To all the car manufacturers out there that are doing that, why? Just you know, give us an extra pocket, you know? Sometimes I like to do some voice impressions, so let me know what you think, you know? All right, enough of that. I'm gonna get into the trunk. We're gonna see the cargo loading capacity of the Macan. It hasn't changed, but it was one thing that I did forget to do in my review with Penelope. So let's get inside that trunk. So let's get inside the trunk. And actually, before we get inside the trunk, we need to lay down the seats, which is gonna be up here. You have this little button, and then you just fold that down. I'll run over to the other side and also do that. So this is also an issue. It's that if you're trying to put the seat down, the seat's too far back, guess what? You gotta go to the front, or if you got slender enough hands, you can just reach through, and then this one will slowly fall, just like so. All right, so moving around to the back. So some people always have questions on how to get in here. There's no visible trunk popper or anything like that, but it's sitting right here, and it actually has a little diagram of what looks to be a small little Porsche Macan. So we're going to press that, and it's fairly small, especially with this cargo cover on it. Really starts hindering everything. So as you can see, like, got my backpack, some shoes, and a jacket, and then tripod over here. And then you have a little bit of underfloor storage, and then also your spare and sub down there. So it's time to get inside this thing though. All right, we gotta see if you were to get cramped up in here with the seats folded up. We're just gonna put that like that. Could you do it? Yeah, you could. It would not, this would not be comfortable. So luckily for us, we do have the seats folded, and I'm gonna set you guys down real quick right there, and then, you know, just kind of sprawl out a little bit, bend the knees, rest your head on the seat. Not gonna lie, this isn't that bad. It's not ideal, but it's not bad. So you can fit a decent amount of luggage inside of here if this is what you really wanted to do. But overall, you're probably not gonna ever just sit back here and sleep in your Macan, but it is doable. So now that we're done talking about the cargo space in here, let's get inside this thing. Let's drive it around for a bit and see how it kind of differs with that 4-cylinder up front as opposed to a V6, and then also just see what they've kind of ironed out as far as driving characteristics from the first gen to now. All right, so driving the 2019 Macan. So with it being a 4-cylinder, I've been driving this car now for a few hours now. It's not bad. It feels super underpowered. It's been that way since they introduced the base model with the 4-cylinder a few years ago. That was one of my biggest complaints to the dealership when I went and had it as a loaner vehicle. Biggest things that I'm noticing is not necessarily the lack of performance. It's like a little bit of throttle lag. I don't think it's turbo lag essentially, but I'm having to press down on the pedal just a little more than I think that I should be in order to get up to speed a little bit quicker. That's not saying that like I always like to go straight to the floor of the gas pedal, but you wouldn't be wrong if you said that either. But I will say, like, the steering in the 4-cylinder is nice to have. It feels definitely more refined, and I know that that was a big complaint, like when the Macan first came out, was the fact that the steering was too light. It didn't feel Porsche-y or Porsche-esque, and so that was kind of a big deal. So I do think that they've tightened it up just enough to where it doesn't feel like you're just kind of floating around and like driving a what's it called, a fan boat on the water. Kind of going along with the steering as well is having that 4-cylinder up front as opposed to a V6. Just that amount of weight difference really makes this car feel like it's cornering a lot better. Makes it feel a lot more agile. The first time I drove one of these, I didn't think that, because I was all about sheer power. Like it didn't matter about anything else. And as I've matured in my driving experiences, I can say that I do agree with the car reviewers back 4 years ago when they were saying that. But yeah, I think they've done a good job overall with the driving experience. Everything else is pretty much the same. I mean, you do have this nice giant infotainment screen now, so in terms of user friendliness while driving, makes everything a little less complicated until you look down and still have all the buttons down in the center console. As far as safety features go, you don't get a whole lot standard, so you know, go ahead and be prepared to see your price increase by a few thousand, if not like handfuls of thousands of dollars, to get every single safety feature that you can, and well, pretty much any Porsche vehicle. So done driving this thing, what are my final thoughts? I don't really want to say it because it's going to diss everything that I love about it, but I think it's underpowered, overpriced when it's optioned out. But I do think that the refinements that they've made over the past few years to this are great, and they're going in the right direction, making it feel a little more sports car like as far as like steering feel. Just that that throttle input, like it just doesn't feel right. That's my biggest thing. Otherwise, I think they did a great job, like redoing the styling, adding the light bar, because you know everyone is doing that now. Just making the front end a lot more aggressive than what it was previously. But overall, I think Porsche is moving in the right. I do think Porsche is moving in the right direction with the Macan, and can't wait to see the next iteration of it, even though it could be all electric. So that's it. That's the 2019 Porsche Macan base model. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye.